Beautiful people. How are you today and how are you doing? I hope you're good. How is it going? And how is your day going? How is everything going for you? January is coming to an end though. At the end of the January is coming to an end. I want to do this January. How many things have you done already? Have you started them? Because very soon, just few days time, January will finish. And at the end of it, we'll be entering February, which is our love month. We'll be getting ready for Valentine and all that. So today, welcome to Serenity TV. I am your host, Gloria. We'll bring you interesting topics, bring you real life gists, things that we bring to your table, things you learn from, and a lot more. So today we'll be discussing something entirely different. We'll be talking about tech, hard work, responsibility, the lesson behind the Japa dream. That is what we'll be discussing today. But before we go further in that topic, I have with me a guest in the house in the person of Mr. Martin Owakwe. Mr. Martin, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, very much welcome. Mr. Martin here is also he's also into tech and in immigration. So he's someone who is into the field already, who is going to be giving us insight on this topic because he knows more about it. And I believe you, our viewers, will want to hear from him. So you get to learn a thing or two. And I know he's going to dish out a lot of juicy things for you. So don't go anywhere, sit back because we have a lot for you to learn from. So Mr. Martins, you're welcome once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Now, this topic, tech skills, responsibility, and hard work. What do you think, being someone in the industry, what do you think about tech skills and hard work?
Yeah, once again, it's happy and nice to be in this studio and to be having this conversation with you and viewers online. This topic for me, it's an interesting one because it's at the intersection of what I do as a tech bro and as someone who also runs an immigration consulting company called Modus Consults. And also someone who has also Japa, right? I play at the intersection of these three topics, right? And during the course of the conversation, part of what I'm going to do today is to break it down and to show you how all of these three things like intersect and how they complement each other, right? Or you want to Japa, you want to leave Nigeria frustrated about what's happening in Nigeria, and now you have the opportunity to Japa. What next, right? Because with life, once you reach a milestone, the next thing is, what's the other milestone I want to get to? So you've Japaed, but that's not the end of life. You also want to get more for yourself. You also want to, achieve more in your career and your business, right? So once you Japa and go to places where, the grass is greener, how do you play? How do you place yourself? How do you compete? Because right now you're like in a global, you're no longer competing with like your fellow Nigerians. You're competing with people from Asia, from America, from Europe, right? And there's a level playing ground for everybody, right? So at that point, your skills and the skill sets you have, your tech skills will now be the thing to move you forward. So I'm going to show throughout the conversation how all of these things complement each other.
All right, thank you very much. Now, when we talk about tech skills, we're in a tech world now because I think that is what is running everywhere now. So how much of this tech do you think young people are young people really willing to go into tech? A lot of young youths out there, because what you hear mostly is, I want to leave the country. I want to Japa. I want to live. I want to go outside and look for greener pastures and all that. But like you said earlier, it's not just when you go over there, what's next? So what do you think? Do you think a lot of young ones are actually willing to learn these tech skills and build themselves with it? So even if they go out there, it becomes easier for them to work with. What do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of young people are willing, but the problem we have is, one is lack of information. So they say ignorance is bliss. What you don't know, you don't know. A lot of them don't even know how to go about it, right? They know that, tech is big. Right now, everybody's talking about AI, but there's no proper guidance as to, what area of tech? How do I break into tech? What do I need to do? Do I need to go to a 5-year, 4-year university program? Do I need to do a boot camp? Should I just go to YouTube and learn? Can I learn on TikTok? And what exactly do I learn, right? Because when you say tech is very big, right? Tech is very, very big and vast. And people are confused as to, what exactly am I learning? And with social media and internet these days, there's just a lot of information. So one of the problems that young people have is information overload. There's just a lot. So today you're hearing about is AI, is, how to prompt engineering. The next day you're hearing is data analytics. The other day here is software engineering. Our here is networking. It's cybersecurity. And the problem that most young people have is that they want to try out everything. So today with cybersecurity, they go and do one cybersecurity training. They're not done with the training. They hear is software engineering. They rush into software engineering. They are still doing that. They hear is graphics, motion designs, video editing. They rush into video editing. And they think that if you keep running around circles from one tech skill to another, you're not able to build depth, right?
Okay.
Which is like one of the things we're going to talk about today, is that for you to actually stand out in the tech world, you need depth, right? So you need to be really good at what you're doing. And the only way to be good at what you're doing is to spend time, put in hours, learning and mastering that thing, right? One thing I tell young people is there is no area of tech that you choose that you can't make a lot of money out of it. So when they say, oh, which one is more lucrative than the other? There's no area of tech that is more lucrative than the other, right? What brings in the money is how deep you are, especially in today's world, right? Where with AI and ChatGPT, anybody can be anything, right? You can be a generalist. I can do finance. I can do some form of accounting. I can do some form of bookkeeping, even without having to be like a chartered accountant, because I could go to AI, ChatGPT, and prompt it and I get what I want, right? But because AI can do all of these things, you now need people who are like really, really deep into a subset or a specific area of tech. That is what stands you out.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Now, if we are talking about AI, because a lot of people, since this AI of a thing, especially ChatGPT, people make use of ChatGPT. But is there a specific way as a tech person that you can actually make use of this and that makes you stand out from every other person using this ChatGPT? Not just using them to Google search for things or using them to get to know ideas. Is there a particular way you can make use of this as a tech person to know exactly or to distinguish you from every other person using ChatGPT?
Yeah. So there's a popular saying that tech is an enabler, right? So it's not an end on its own. It's a means to an end, right? And just circle back to, or think about when the internet started becoming popular. Let's say especially in Nigeria, in the early 2000s, right? People started doing all sorts of computer training. So you're done with school, university. Sorry, you're done with secondary school. You now take out, let's say, 6 months to go and learn computer training, right? But today there's almost nothing like that anymore, because we now have people who you call digital natives. Like from birth, they gave birth to them, and from 2 years, they're already using iPads, using phones, and started using computers. And by the time they're in secondary school, by the time they're in primary school, they're already using computers to do assignments and all of those things, right? So it's not like a part of life. The way kids go to school to learn ABC, to learn literacy. Digital literacy is now like a part of the academic process, right? That is what I see AI becoming, in the near future. That is no longer a skill for people who are into tech or people who are into AI. It's now a skill set that everybody should know or should learn. Think about the idea of, just think about putting in your resume and your CV that you know how to use Microsoft Word. It used to be a thing in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. These are like skills that you have. But today, you look foolish to put on your CV that you know how to use Microsoft Word or Excel, right? Because that's like it's assumed that you should know how to do that. It's just like you putting in your CV that you know how to read and write. Okay. So with AI, people should see AI as an enabler of whatever it is you're doing. Like, you don't need to be in tech. You could be what's the most random? You could be a lawyer, right? Use AI to do case summary, to do case research, to do writing. You could be what else? What's one random career that has nothing to do with tech? Let's say you're a musician or a singer. You could use AI to come up with dope lines
music,
and lines. So AI is an enabler for whatever it is you're doing, right? And advice is that because it's an emerging field, right? AI as we know it today in terms of like generative AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, and the rest. As we know it today, it's still new, like less than 5 years. The people who are going to play at the top in the next 5 years are people who embrace it today. There are still people who are very skeptical of it, like, oh, this AI thing, I don't think it's going to work. AI is going to take away our job. AI is evil. You can't fight technology, right? And history has shown that you can't fight when internet started. There were people who had all sorts of things to say about internet, but the internet is here to stay, right? So you can't fight technology and you can't fight AI. The best thing to do is to plug in yourself now, look for relevant skills that you're going to gather, One very popular skill set as regards AI is prompt engineering, which is hardwired prompt AI. Like start learning it, that way you get better at not just the AI, but whatever work that you're doing.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Now, we are talking about the lessons behind the Japa dream. Yeah. Everybody wants to Japa, like I made mention earlier. But how many people are actually willing to do something that will sustain them when they Japa outside now? And our main focus for today is the Japa and the tech skills, hard work and responsibility. Now, when we talk about tech, hard work and responsibility, how much, or should I use how much hard work do you think one needs to put into tech skills to be able to learn and stand out? When you mentioned standards earlier, you need to stand out in what you do. How much hard work can someone put into tech to make sure you stand out in that particular field you're working in?
Yeah. So the first thing you have to understand is that there are very limited opportunities in life, right? So there's not enough opportunity to go around. So whatever area of expertise, or area of life that you want to delve into, there are just few opportunities. And for those few opportunities, there are like millions of people who are struggling for those opportunities. And let's talk about tech specifically, right? And one thing about tech, for most tech jobs are jobs that can be done remotely, meaning you just need your computer and your internet to be able to do those jobs. So it means there's really no like geographical limitations, or you have to be in this area. So meaning that you could be in Nigeria, in Owerri, and you're competing with someone in India, or you're competing with someone in Serbia or one random country in Europe, right? At that point, right, and when I say competing, they are looking at your skill sets and benchmarking it with skill sets of people from other parts of the world, right? So meaning that it is very competitive.
Yeah.
It is very competitive. So it's not enough to say, oh, I know how to use this tool, right? Can you use this tool better than the average person? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to put yourself, and with tech, you don't want to compare yourself with people in your locality or people in the same country with you or your friends or your schoolmate. No, that's not the competition. The competition is global now. So you need to start, let's say, go to online communities that are involved in whatever skill sets or AI or tech skill that you're interested in, and see what other people are doing from all over the world, and see if you can beat what those people are doing, right?
Okay, sorry to cut you short. When we this tech skill you're talking about, is it really easy to learn it? Because some people say, I want to learn tech, but it's quite expensive.
Okay.
Is it is it affordable to anyone? Because a lot of young ones out there, and they really want to learn tech. They want to go into tech. But the fact is, it is expensive and they can't afford it. So is it that it's expensive that not everyone has access to learn tech?
No, learning tech is not expensive, right? And this is because there are lots of free resources on the internet. There's YouTube. YouTube is free. The only thing you need to pay for is your data, right? There's TikTok, there's Twitter, there's Facebook. You can learn all of these things on these social media platforms, right? If you go to my Twitter handle right now, like my Twitter timeline, what you're going to see all over my timeline is like AI stuff, AI news, AI updates, AI influencers. These are the kind of people I follow on social media. So even when I'm on Twitter, 80% of information that I digest has to do with tech and AI, right? So you could build let's say your Instagram feed or your YouTube feed such a way that once you open your YouTube, you just see all kinds of informative, knowledge-driven resources or videos that you can watch. So anybody who is telling you that they're not able to learn a tech skill because they don't have money, they're just looking for excuses, right? Because in fact, with ChatGPT, there's nothing you can learn with ChatGPT. And there's a free version of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They're not paying a dime.
Yeah.
So I don't think money should be an excuse for anybody in 2026 not to learn one digital skill. One thing that I've found that is a problem is that a lot of people are not disciplined enough, right?
Yeah.
So this is the beginning of the year, and a lot of people have all these, and I think data has even shown that at the beginning of every year, you have a lot of people sign up for courses. Like it's a thing happens every year. Yeah, you see them sign up for all kinds of courses because they're all motivated and ginger. They have their what's it called? What do you do at the beginning of every year?
Yeah, resolution.
New Year resolution. I want to learn this skill, and then they start it, and then after 1 week, they're making excuses. Oh, there's no light today. Oh, there's no internet. Oh, internet is bad. Oh, I need to go to the village. Oh, I need to do this. They just make all kinds of excuses, and by the time it's March, they've forgotten about it. A lot of people are not disciplined enough, and that is the problem that I see with a lot of young people, right? Because we can talk about how you need to do XYZ, how you need to do AI, you need to do tech, you need to do this. All of these things are public knowledge, right? When you tell someone you need to work hard to make it in life, you need to work smart. That's not new information. People know what to do, but they don't have the willpower to decide on a particular course of action and follow through with it. It's very hard. It's very difficult. Like almost everybody battles with like indiscipline and procrastination. But if there's anything you need to fight, like your life depends on it, it is indiscipline. So that when you decide that you want to do something, no matter what happens, no matter how unfavorable the conditions are, you follow through with that. That's the only way you can stand out.
All right. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about the Japa obsession. A lot of people are really obsessed with, I want to Japa out of this country. I want to. Now, is it that, why exactly has this Japa become traveling outside the country, become a symbol of success to many people? They feel that once you go there, you pluck money from the tree or you do something. Is it that the world, or will I say, the field is greener from the other side? Or is it just that because they feel that once they leave the country, things will get better? What exactly is this obsession about traveling outside the country?
Yeah, so the first thing is, to be fair, Nigeria has failed a lot of young people, right? I speak to a lot of young people who Japan in the last 3-4 years, and I asked them why, at what point did you make the decision to leave Nigeria? And a lot of them said is it October 20th, 2020, first SARS, NSAS protest.
Yeah.
After the night that they killed people in the Lekki toll gates, a lot of people decided, that's it for them. They were going to leave the country. And if you look at it, it's in a way, you wouldn't blame them, right? Because Nigeria has failed them and they feel like, it's time for them to move to other countries where they think they can have like better opportunities, right? And which is good, right? I made that decision in 2022 to leave the country. And in 2021, I left the country for the US. And to be honest with you, I don't regret that decision. Okay. In fact, I made a post on Facebook that the only thing I regret was not leaving earlier than when I did, right? Because one thing that Japa does to you is that it opens your mind to a lot of opportunities that you wouldn't have even thought about in the first place, right? You wouldn't even know this thing exists if you don't leave. Like if you don't travel and see certain things, you just think that the world revolves around you. The world revolves around your country or your ethnicity or your way of life or your culture. You now see that, there are people who act differently, who behave differently, who think differently, who believe in things that you didn't even know existed in the first place, right? Okay. So it opens you to a whole lot of opportunities and experiences, right?
So, sorry, you made mention of traveling out of the country in 2021. So I want to ask, what exactly made you decide, I want to leave this country? Is it because you were into tech or just a personal decision that you wanted to leave the country because the country was not favorable? What exactly made you decide to travel out? So
my own experience is a little bit interesting because before 2020, I was a very passionate, patriotic Nigerian. My friends knew that I was one of the we have to stay in Nigeria, fix Nigeria, make it better. Nigeria has to work. I strongly believed in Nigeria becoming a great nation. But in 2020, I used to work in public service, right? So I used to work in the government, and it was a very interesting experience in my life because at that time we just got into government, and it was supposed to be for 4 years. So a typical tenure in Nigeria is for 4 years. And I had thought that the next 4 years, I had planned my life, what it was going to look like, right? And then 7 months into the government, there was a Supreme Court judgment that took us out of government and office. Okay. I'm sure some of us who knew what happened in Imo State in 2019, 2020 will remember this. And so 7 months later, we were out of office, right? And I saw how everything played out. I saw how someone who won the election was just kicked out of office, and someone who came like a distant fourth was made the governor, and all of the things that happened after that event just convinced me that this is not the kind of place where I want to live, where I want to raise my kids. And from that moment, I made a conscious decision to leave the country and started looking for opportunities to further my education, and That was how I made. That was how I left the following year to the US.
All right. That was really wonderful.
Mm.
Now, how did you get involved into the tech industry? How did you get into the tech industry? Was it after you traveled out or before you traveled out?
Yeah, it was actually before I did. I'm very grateful. I'm one of the very few Nigerians, and I'm proud to say this, who actually loved what I studied in school. Right. So I think that the very foundation that I got was getting into photo and also studying a course that I was so passionate about. So I did information technology in school, which is pure tech. And it was something that I had loved, like, even before I got into school. Like, I've been a tech bro, you know. I started designing websites for people even before I got into photo. So as a 17, 18-year-old kid, I was using WordPress to design websites and do all of those things. And so I got into photo, and then for 5 years, I gathered as much skills that I could, around tech. And then when I left the country for the US, I also furthered in tech, became a data scientist, and it's been tech all the way.
Wow, that was really, really beautiful. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martin, for that one. So to our viewers, you've all heard from Mr. Martin himself, knowing fully well that jackpotting is not just the solution. That's not where it ends. You have to have something sustainable that when you go out there, you have something that will sustain you throughout your stay, and you'll be able to make something from it. You don't just say you want to jackpot from the country and you don't have anything. And like you all know, tech is the thing that is making waves around the world now. You learn it and you have something to hold back to. Now, Mr. Martin, before we actually round up this whole segment, I want to ask a question, and then you can say a few words to our guests before we go. A lot of people tell young ones, go and learn tech, go and learn tech. But now, my question here is, what exactly, can you tell us one thing about tech that people don't like to hear abroad? One thing about tech that people don't like to hear about it abroad?
Maybe not abroad, but generally, I think it would be that tech should be for everybody.
Okay, people don't like to hear that.
Yeah, it should be for everybody. So there's no, oh, I'm not a tech person.
And why exactly is that?
Yeah, because like I said before, tech is an enabler. It's not an end, but a means to an end. So there's no area of life that you cannot apply tech to. There's no area of life that when you apply tech to it, you can be more productive than you would be without tech.
Okay.
So tech makes you more productive, more efficient, and more effective.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, to our viewers out there, one word for the young youths out there that are actually trying to japa out of the country, but they don't really know or don't have a means to survive outside the country, or are trying to go into tech but don't know how to go about it. For you as a person, that you are an example that you went into tech and it's actually yielding good fruits for you. So the one word to our viewers out there, tell them, okay, this and this, what's your advice for them?
So the first one would be that the reality is that not everybody is going to Japa. As much as a lot of people want to Japa, but not everybody can and will, because one, Japa is very expensive. And then two, there's just a lot of like documentation processes involved, right? Not everybody's going to do that. But what I'll tell you is that I have friends in Nigeria who live in Nigeria and make more money than a lot of my friends in the US, right? Because of the skill sets that they have. First thing you have to do while you're waiting for whenever your Japa dream is going to materialize, you start gathering the skill sets that will make you competitive, the skill set that will make you money, right? I was just a few days ago, I posted on Facebook about a friend of mine who lives in Nigeria, has never been to China before, knows how to speak Mandarin, and works for companies in the US doing English language Mandarin interpretation. And she earns more than the minimum wage in the US, right? She lives in Nigeria, has never been out of Nigeria, earns in dollars, thousands of dollars every month, just doing interpretation for companies in the US. So whatever skill that you have, and because of what I do, immigration consulting, I get to meet and talk to a lot of people, like professionals, people who live in Africa and who want to move to the US. And I talk to some of them and I see like how much money they make from just their skill sets, right? And I know that if you live in Nigeria and you're just making excuses about power, about internet, about all of this, there are lots of excuses that you can make if you live in Nigeria. Like, I understand that because I lived most of my life in Nigeria. But if you keep making those excuses, right, you're not going to have results, because you can't have both at the same time.
Yeah.
It's either you have results or you have excuses. So choose which one you want to have.
All right. Thank you very much
All right.
for your time. Thank you for being here. It was
Thank you,
really a
Gloria.
wonderful time having this conversation with you. Now, to our viewers, thank you very much for watching. Like you've heard, Japa skills, hard work, and responsibility. Please make sure you have something. Don't just think of Japaing. There should be something behind you when you're Japaing. Have something to hold to and be hardworking as well. In whatever field you find yourself, make sure you are hardworking and be responsible for whatever choices you've made to make sure that you follow it to the end. To our viewers out there, thank you very much for watching. It was really, really wonderful having this conversation with Mr. Martin today. And do not forget to follow us on our social media handle. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. And for our previous videos, we have a lot of videos on YouTube. In case you've not seen anyone, just go to our YouTube channel at Serenity TV and you will be able to watch all of our previous videos. Trust me, you will learn a lot from them. Until we come your way next time. Bye for now.